Thank you for your interest in our GPS Speaker Success done for you customized marketing packages. Look forward to seeing if I can serve you in the best way. Let's begin. So, 7 specific areas I'm going to walk you through, and let's see if you're a good fit for our packages. Now, everyone knows Steve Jobs. They know Steve Wozniak on the left, but do you know who Ronald Wayne is? Ronald Wayne is the guy on the right-hand side. He's actually the third co-founder of Apple. He owned 10% of Apple at the time. He was the guy that created the operating agreement. He created the operating manual and even sketched the Apple logo. But since Ronald was in his 40s, he was older than Steve Jobs and Wozniak because Wozniak and Jobs were both in their 20s. As what Ronald Wayne calls them, they're lions, and he's trying to pull their tails back. And so Ronald Wayne decided to sell his 10% of Apple a few weeks after creating this agreement with Wozniak and Jobs. That 10% of Apple, had he kept it, would have been worth $198 billion. Ronald Wayne, because he was in his 40s, he was more risk adverse. He had failed in a slot machine business at the time. He had much more to lose than these two young bucks, Wozniak and Jobs. And so no one knows who Ronald Wayne is, but everyone knows who Steve Jobs and Wozniak is. I share this story because we all have elements of Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. What I mean by that is Wozniak is who you are right now. You're the expert, you're the authority, you have the substance of creating a computer, or in your case, whatever your expertise is. But unfortunately, not everyone has a Steve Jobs on their side, and Steve Jobs was brilliant at marketing, at sales, at promoting. And Wozniak has openly said, if not for Steve Jobs, there would be no Apple. Wozniak has said that he would give away actual stuff back in the 70s and 80s, whereas Steve Jobs was a marketer, a salesperson, and that's what I'll be doing for you, the marketing person. And Ronald Wayne, we all have elements, including myself, where I didn't have the courage, was too much fear-based, and didn't take the risk. And just so you know, after Ronald Wayne left, Steve Jobs asked Ronald Wayne multiple times to come back to Apple. So it wasn't just one chance, it was multiple chances. So you decide, who do you want to be in life? We all have all three of these elements, but you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not a good marketer and salesperson, well, how are you going to market yourself as a speaker? Now, this is why Steve Jobs was successful. The biggest company in the world at one point, Apple was a $1 trillion company. And what did Steve Jobs do? He hired an expert. He hired an agency. He hired an agency called Chiat/Day, a guy named Lee Clow. For those of you who know historical history of Apple, Apple fired Steve Jobs in the 80s. They rehired him in the 90s. People don't know this, but Apple was near bankruptcy. Steve Jobs comes back in the mid 90s, late 90s. He hires Chiat/Day, marketing agency, advertising agency. They create this cool, inspiring, think different campaign, and then they blow up into what Apple is now, one of the first $1 trillion companies. But again, Steve Jobs was successful because he understood marketing, but he hired someone else to do it better than him. You can be Wozniak, you can be the expert. That's what they're hiring you for. But if you're not marketing yourself as Steve Jobs did, or what I do for you, you're not going to be different. And if you're not different, how can you stand out? So the two options for you is this. If you have a website, you will get what I call an expert audit, where I dissect the 10 specific marketing points, elements you need to be a great global speaker. And after I give you this expert audit package, this executive summary, I redo your website for you. My team and I do, based on these 10 essential marketing points. That's if you have a website. Now, if you don't have a website, we create a website for you from scratch, from a template that we use, whether it's on Wix or Squarespace. There's no excuse, by the way, where if you're in the 21st century, there's no excuse why you should not have a nice looking website, because it conveys who you are. Remember, you have to be relevant. You have to be relatable. There's no excuse not to have a good looking website. And unfortunately, people do judge a book by its cover. If Apple didn't look so cool, if the iPhone, iPad, iTunes, all this stuff didn't look so cool, would you buy it because you understood aesthetics? You look at Elon Musk, same thing. That car is sexy. So remember, if you have a website, we help you redo it. But again, if your website looks like it's 15 years old, you might want to create a new one based on a template we provide for you. So those are the two options. You have a website, expert audit, website makeover. don't have a website, we create it from scratch. And here is an example of what you need to be a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 speaker. I create a global marketability score. This is part of the expert audit part. If you don't have a website, your marketability score is at least right now 0, frankly, because again, if you don't have a website, no presence, then you really don't have a marketability score. If you do have a website, we break down element by element. Now you look at on the right-hand side, speaker bio, story, speech topics, client testimonials, photos. I meet people that are not keynote speakers. They all say they're speakers, but if you're not billed at $10,000, $20,000, if you're not sharing the stage with Elon Musk and Richard Branson or presidents of heads of states, you're not really a global speaker. You're not at the top tier. And I really believe you can be. So though I hear, oh, Christopher, I have a testimonial, or I have a speech topic, or I have a story, but is it at the caliber that you want? Are you on the stage you deserve to be on? And are you making the money you want? And if you're not, it gets very, very, very granular. And I'll explain what I mean. Speaker bio. Let's say this gentleman, he is a bona fide executive, 10 plus years of experience. In his case, he leans very heavy on his actual personal story. But ultimately, if he wants to be a bigger brand, it has to be more global because he's a global speaker. Next, videos. He has a speaking reel, which many of our clients that we work with don't have, but notice how granular I get. Suggestions, 226 seconds to 232. This guy named Mike says something that's redundant. And this is why it's so specific, where remember, if you don't pass what I call the 30-second test, meaning if you have a website, your clients that are event planners, executives that want to hire you as a keynote speaker, they're not going to spend 3 hours on your website. They're not going to spend 30 minutes on your website. They're not even going to spend 3 minutes. If they scroll through 30 seconds and they don't see a global premium brand, then you're not going to command the price points you deserve and want. And then speech topics. Again, you have to have a very clear expertise. If you don't have expertise, we help you with that. If you do have expertise, we dial deeper, more thorough, and more substantive. In this gentleman's case, I gave him specific suggestions on how to create his speech topics. And lastly, overall, your website is your gem. Your website is what everyone sees. Again, if it doesn't not look like it's from this current decade, you really want to consider and have a self-assessment where people do judge a book by its cover. If it doesn't look aesthetically real, clean, sexy, and compelling, they're probably not going to hire you. And this is how I coach, act, and teach. I'm blunt as heck because I'm from New York. I want you to get value. I don't want to waste your time. You're a busy person, but just know that you have to have a very clean looking design. Then for the expert audit, you get a summary of all the various key points. After the expert audit, I dial into very specific website makeover. And this is how granular it gets. This is an actual testimony I got from one of my audience members in Zurich, Switzerland. Left-hand side is the actual testimonial. He sends me this unsolicited. Christopher, if the conference only had you giving talks for 10 minutes, like a TED Talk style, and actually a McKinsey partner said that after hearing Christopher speak, he elevated your conference to a TED Talk level conference. And that was the original testimonial. So again, I hear people saying all the time, oh, Christopher, I have testimonials. Great. Well, if it's generic, like on the one on the left, it's actually a great testimonial. But on the right-hand side is what you need, which is what I do for you. I went back to the organizer and asked them, how many speakers were at this conference? They said 167. I went back to Alex. I said, Alex, would you mind if I use this testimony instead? It's the same testimonial, but the one on the left is a 3. The one on the right is a 17 because 167 speakers. President of Switzerland was there. You also had Stanford professors. You had the co-founder of Rolling Stones. Everyone that was there, had he only come hear me speak, it would have been worth his time. Now, also, it's important that you use his first and last name and that he's an executive. Because if he's not an executive, if she's not an executive, and someone gives you a testimonial, it doesn't carry a lot of weight. Why? Because the event planners, the executives that hire you want to know that their people, their breed, their bread, their people, meaning their executives, it carries much more weight. So if you see that Elon Musk in an interview said, wow, you really know a lot, it's not just some random guy named Elon. You can literally go to YouTube and see me interviewing Elon or look at my speaking reel. And when he says that I know a lot in the context of an interview, you already know how mouth-watering that is. So just know that in this packaging, It's not about just having a testimonial. It's what kind of testimonial. It's who's giving that testimonial. It's what they say in the testimonial. And I will actually draft the testimonies for you because you will never assume that they're going to write well. So I literally draft testimonies as I did here. And I say, for your convenience, would you mind I use this? And he said, yes. So if you have a website makeover, this is how granular it gets. This is how precise it gets. Just from these three elements of her video, her photo, and her testimonial, I had to review with my team 100 data points to create 3 elements. Think about this, okay? 100 data points, videos, photos, testimonials to create 3 elements. And that's why when you look at your website and you say, oh, I already have that. Well, trust me when I say every time I look at a website, there's literally a guy who created an actual TV network and he said he's ready to be marketable. And though he has the experience, I looked at his website and he literally has a photo of him being interviewed and his face is cut off. I wanted to laugh, but I didn't want to laugh because that's quite rude. But it's just important that you're objective and you give yourself a self-assessment. Are you Wozniak, Steve Jobs, or Ronald Wayne? I'm the Steve Jobs. I know what I'm good at. I'm good at marketing, promoting. This is what I do. I used to work for Marketing Express. That's what I did for them in terms of creating global sales decks. I'm doing this for 20 plus years, okay? Jane did not have a website. She's a lawyer, former VC founder, and we created the website from scratch. Again, as long as we have a template that we can find online, I help you build out all the content. So this is your future if you find value in this package, if you actually hire someone with a Steve Jobs mentality, because this is something that I never would have imagined that this speech was free. So I still give free speeches, but this is a thought leadership speech. This is the Thought Leadership Conference. President Clinton has spoken here. The former president of Mexico has spoken here. Arianna Huffington has spoken here. Max Levchin, the co-founder of PayPal, has spoken here, as well as Chuck Hagel. So these are those high-level conferences of how you can command a lot of money and make a big difference. But in this conference, where I spoke for free, but I think they charge $1,000 to get in, but it's high level, I ended up securing the next client, which paid me $30,000 to speak at this conference, where Wozniak was at, and Dan Schulman and John Collison, one of the youngest billionaires in the world who created Stripe. Richard Branson has spoken there years, I think the year after. The point being is, this is your future stage if you say you want to make impact, if you say you want to make the money you want, but it's all about your brand and your marketing. You can have the best heart, you can have a book, you can even have a website, but if you don't have the specific precision marketing, you're not going to get on the stages. I'm currently on 12 different bureaus, 8 in the US, 4 internationally. This is my current rates domestic, what I'm billed at. And again, it's all about precision and what you write in your bio, your photo, your testimonials, all that plays into line. This is an investment in yourself. Option 1, it's a 3-month package. We have bi-monthly strategy calls to give you updates. But again, it's a done for you package. So when you sign up, you get an application form. You give me all the information to make a self-assessment. Within 2 weeks, you get the expert audit. Within a month, I start working on your website marketing with my team. And all throughout the 2nd and 3rd month, you're getting real-time feedback. I'm doing the research. I'm doing the website makeover, but real-time, we can pitch you directly now with certain clients you have. So I give you actual customized sales scripts. I teach you how to network with the giants, which are people that are high level, like the presidents and heads of states. I wrote a book on this. I wrote a #1 bestseller on how do you network with billionaires, executives, celebrities, bestseller. So the value you're getting is close to $40,000. And if you look at the check on the right-hand side, you have to visualize it. I got paid $50 for my first speech 20 years ago. It doesn't have to take 16 years to go from $50 to $5,000. That's how long it took me. And from the 16th year to the 18th year, I figured out how to go from $5,000 to $30,000. This is half of the check I got for one speaking engagement. And this could be your future. But again, without the branding, without the marketing, without Steve Jobs on your corner, you can be the Wozniak. But if you don't have the Steve Jobs in the speaking world, I don't care what kind of marketing agency you've hired, your PR firm, none of that matters because this is very, very, very specific to speakers. There's very few speakers in the world that are on speaking bureaus. We're in the top 1% of speakers. So how can you hire someone who's good at marketing and PR when they're not a top billed speaker? So this is the investment. And the great thing is this is a premium package. You're getting me and my team helping you where it's not like you're investing $100, hopefully to get $1,000. You're investing a $10,000 lump sum or $4,000 over 3 months where you book one speech. Now, there's no guarantees, right? But the point is, when you make an investment, you get back a return. But what I'm teaching you will last 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, or your whole life, because what I've learned over the last 20 years, it's perennial, it still lasts. So that's if you have a website, you get an expert audit and a website makeover with all the research, the sales scripting, and the networking with giants. And again, step by step, every 2 weeks, you get an update of what's going on. It's done for you because I do the work for you. You fill out an application, you tell me all the stuff you have. I do it step by step. But already, even in the context of the website design, I'll give you very specific suggestions. If you don't have a website, 3-month package as well. And the only difference is really we build it out from scratch. And so it's a little bit more of an investment. But again, 3-month program. And this is the second option. You also get bonuses. We have a self-guided program where it's 5 modules where I break down how do you build your expertise, how do you market yourself, how do you sell yourself, how do you with integrity, and how do you have a day-to-day schedule, the macro view of the speaking world. But again, the self-guided program is a much lower investment, but you're the more premium client. And so you get it for free. So you have a reference point and you can keep that forever. We also have weekly group coaching calls. So you're free to join those as well, where we invite guest speakers. We just invited the founder of Pictionary. He sold 38 million copies and then sold Pictionary to Mattel for $29 million. We have both expert speakers. You get to speak on our platform with our community. And then I also give you very specific advice. But again, you're interested in the Done For You package, where this is the premium package. And you also get to be part of our Facebook group because you really want to meet some of our other speakers. We are currently in 120 cities, 30 countries. I'm sorry, 30, it should be 30 countries and 6 continents. So it's 120 cities, 30 countries and 6 continents. Lastly, ask yourself this one question: will you be remembered? Going back to Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and Ronald Wayne. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you good at marketing? Are you good at sales? Because if you're not, and even if you are you good at sales and marketing as a speaker? It's a very different skill set, a very different scripting. Or will you be Ronald Wayne? As I said to you before, we all have elements of Ronald Wayne where we're afraid and scared. I remember I had one client, his name is Myron. He wanted to be a speaker for 10 years. Within the first month of working with me, he booked 4 speeches and one of them was paid. That's not a coincidence. It's because I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I've given over 1,000 presentations. I've shared the stage with some of the top leaders in the world, and I know what I'm good at. If you are Wozniak, which you have to be in terms of your expertise, and if you don't know your expertise, I help you with that. But are you going to lean toward the boldness, the courage, the brilliance of Steve Jobs, where I help you with? Or are you going to lean more toward Ronald Wayne, where his biggest regret was that he hopes he's not a footnote in history just because he met a guy? And again, to be clear, we all have elements of fear and courage, but I ask you and challenge you, if you want to make a difference in life, if you want to make an impact, what will your legacy be if you don't have the courage to make an investment in yourself that will last you a lifetime? Thank you so much for listening. Again, these are the bonuses. This is the investment if you need a website. And this is an investment if you already have a website. Thank you so much and have a great day.